we're going to be reacting to this video. Some of you might have seen it. It was this viral video. A woman was broken up with. Go ahead and pull it up. We're going to get started from the beginning. We have audio too.
Imagine
lower the volume.
You live in LA with your boyfriend, and everything's going amazing till he says, babe, I want to move back to Texas to be closer to my dad. So you give up half of your career, quit your improv troupe and have a goodbye party. Take off months of work, deplete your savings to pay for movers and drive to Texas. It's so worth it for the love of your life that wants a future with you because he said so. So you spend a month waiting for your shit to arrive, and then another month moving in and building furniture and stuff, and you're so happy till he comes back from a family vacation. Sits on your couch, which just turned in the mail and hands you a note that says we have nothing in common and we're incompatible. Oh no. How did I not know this whole time? 3.5 years of happiness. We've been incompatible this whole time, and now we have nothing in common for 3.5 years. How did I not notice? Wow, what a surprise. Thank you for informing me that this whole time we had nothing in common. So you back up your car wherever you can fit it, just getting your crying to us. We get to back it for you, and then you drive to Florida to live with your mom.
All right. So this went viral. And so basically, she was dating this guy for what, 3.5 years. They move. He breaks up with her. We don't know the exact timeline. Shortly thereafter, maybe a couple months after the move. Your reaction? Starting with you.
Oh, well, sorry that she went through that. If you end up watching this, I'm sorry. But, like, it was like there's no communication, you know? Because I feel like if you're communicating constantly with your partner, you'd be able to know whether or not, like, they're into the relationship or they're, like, taking a step back. So I just feel like,
Okay.
yeah.
Your take?
I just lived that. I was moving to another country halfway across, like all the way across the world. So I think that was a little bit over dramatic. Like, it doesn't even seem like she gave up her job or anything. It sucks. Like, that's always going to suck. But I would never want to be with somebody who didn't want me or didn't see. So
Right.
it completely sucks. But you pick yourself up, make a little joke out of it, and you move on. It's traumatic, but that makes us who we are. So,
Okay.
well, yeah, I
What
don't know.
about you?
Yeah, it is what it is. Just, God saved her from, somebody else. I think it's a good chance for her moving another chapter, start another chapter.
What about you?
Oh, I felt like that was really traumatizing. I think I went through a similar experience, and so I think I can understand that.
It was traumatizing?
Yeah, it's traumatizing. Yeah.
Okay.
What
all right.
happened to her? Like, oh
It
my
was
god.
traumatizing.
I think that she gave up her whole life for this guy that said that he loved her, and then
Yeah.
I think that it still happens when it's
Okay.
not, I think they were communicating. I think honestly he just probably found someone better and was like, oh, there's options out there
Yeah.
for me. He didn't realize there was options.
Well, we don't know that. She didn't say anything about that.
And he went on family vacation. Like, he left her for a bit, comes back, like, I want to break up. Like, what?
Yeah, maybe he talked to his parents, and the parents were like, "Yeah, this is not the girl."
Right.
But okay, what about you, Bailey? What do you think? Is he
I
a bad
mean-
guy? What do you think?
I think everything happens for a reason, and I think that there's someone better out there
For which?
for
one?
her.
For her.
Okay, but is he a dick? Breaking up with her after the move? Like what?
I mean, you ultimately can't control what your partner does, so I think that she just needs to move on. Like, yes, it's gonna hurt, but she's gonna be able to find someone who values her and everything. So.
I think that sucks because I moved all the way to New Jersey for a guy, and he broke up with me, and we had to move back to Texas while we were broken up in the plane. So I kind of get what she's feeling.
Oh my Lord.
So she just has to pick herself up, do some therapy, and she'll get better.
Okay, what about you?
I mean, they were incompatible, so it's unfortunate.
Alina, your thoughts?
I mean, there's definitely more to the story than we're seeing. My question is, why are you posting on social media about a 3-year relationship breakup? That seems like too much private information out there. That might reflect some things that she did in the relationship that made him break up with her.
It's pretty base take. she did. I mean, she like blocked his face, but like total strangers won't know who it is. But like they obviously probably had like shared friend, shared social circle, kind of putting them on blast like that kind of it. Really quick before I give my take though, pull up the comments. I think this is like what I thought. You know, you can criticize the video or whatever, but like some of these comments are crazy. So make it a little bigger for me. Sending him generational curses from Africa. Scroll down. You gave him wife privilege without being the wife. Okay, whatever that means. Sending him stress from the engineering world. So they're literally cursing the guy. Sending him sleepless nights of regret from Germany. He tried to. So they want the guy to suffer. It's kind of weird. He tried to dump you politely when he said he wanted to move. Whatever. Do not do anything for men until he puts a ring on your finger. Oh, that's a whole nother conversation we could get into. But scroll down a bit. He gave you whatever. If you're so hurt, why do you film yourself and upload it on the internet? Michael Jones, I'll get your TTS in just a sec here. This whole production makes you a queen. He owes you financial compensation. Wrong. Scroll down. Imagine.
Duolingo.
Hold on.
From Kolkata, India.
Sending him black magic from Kolkata, India. Sending him an eternity of chapped lips. Scroll down. I'll do a couple more. I see balding in his future. Wow. Hit the plus. Hit the plus. Scroll down. Sending him generational curses from Africa. Wait, guys, please don't talk while somebody else is talking. Scroll down. Or he owes you financial compensation. Oh, did it just duplicate it? He cheated, blah, blah, blah. Okay, go to the TikTok. I want to see the comments on TikTok. There's a few more. So you can criticize like what she did, but like these comments going after him are kind of crazy. Imagine he has to read it, huh? That's fine, it's fine. Make it bigger though so I can read the comments.
Also, the internet's
Make it
gnarly.
bigger,
They probably
bigger,
maybe
bigger,
found
bigger,
his
bigger.
stuff.
Scroll up. Let me start it from up. Okay, boyfriends aren't husbands, blah, blah, blah. He made you move, then handed you a note. I thought, okay, thank you for, scroll down. Never let them take you to a second location? Okay, that's weird. It seems like the Instagram ones were worse. Can't you, 80,000 likes, can't you sue him for something? And then, let's see if there's anything. Take Amanda there with the verified check, take him to court, send him the moving costs and furniture to pay. If he doesn't, sue him and claim he used you. So I don't know if these women are joking or they genuinely think that there's actually some sort of like legal avenue that she can take here, which I think is completely ridiculous.
Isn't there palimony?
No, that's not. I mean, in Canada, it's fucking cucked.
Oh, it's Canada.
Canada has some weird cuck shit like that, but scroll down. Hire an attorney. I did, and my ex had to pay. That's fucking totally bogus. Maybe in a marriage, whatever. So multiple people saying, sue him, get money, ask for money. Scroll down. Let me see if there's any more that are interesting. Scroll down. Deserves to go viral. Let that man. Okay. Anyways, so there's like different comments. There's some comments about money. There's some comments like, "Fuck this guy. We hope he gets cursed," and shit. That's kind of weird. Hoping.
But Brian, he was on a journey, and all he was doing was finding himself for self-discovery. And then he came home and he told her that he didn't want her anymore because they weren't compatible, and she freaked out. I don't really understand because all he really needs is therapy, and then he'll find himself. Yeah, can we make that go viral too? That's not.
Yeah.
A little auto-tune maybe, a little auto-tune in there.
The interesting thing for me here is, at least with the comments, right? Before I get into like my reaction to her video, the people that are calling for her to sue him. First off, I'm not an attorney, but there's no. I mean, look, maybe some attorneys in the chat can clarify. Do we have any, Andrew? Maybe you have attorneys in your chat. There's attorneys in our chat. There's no legal cause of action.
You can't do anything.
There's no legal cause of action where you could like, oh, you spent money on your boyfriend breaks up with you, he owes you money. No, absent him, like you loaning him money in her case, for example, you actually would have a legal claim. I don't know the laws in Korea though, but if you spend money on somebody in this sort of way, that's essentially a relationship. You cannot recuperate the spent, invested money on them. In addition to that, I think it's really interesting because most of those women, 80,000, it was like 80,000 likes. Oh, he should be financially responsible. You should sue him. How would women feel if we took y'all on a date and paid for the date and you didn't fuck us and we're like, oh, give me my money back? You guys would be like, what the fuck? No, that's crazy to even think like that. So the same goes for women though. Just because you invest in us, we don't owe you, like in the same way you don't owe us anything, in the same way that women, if we take you to dinner, you don't owe the guy sex. I don't think that. If a guy takes you out, he pays the bill, you don't owe him sex. If a guy takes you out for a first date, you don't owe him a second date. You don't owe him anything.
What good point? Someone in my chat points out, what about common law marriage?
I think they were in California. I don't think there was
for cohabitation. Well, some states, I think you only have to cohabitate for a few months before it applies to you.
Well, so I don't know the specifics of that, but you are right that there is a common law marriage where even though you're not actually married, if you've been holding yourself.
I think it's if you.
There's like cohabitation, but you also there's other prongs to falling in the snare of common law marriage. It's not necessarily just cohabitation. I think you also have to be holding. I could be wrong. Again, I'm not a lawyer.
It's not in
and
Cali
it's state specific too. And I believe they were in California, right? I don't know. I think you have to also be holding yourself out as if you were married too. I think that is one component of it, but nevertheless, if you're cohabitating in a common law state, you might get ensnared.
Neither state has it though. California does not recognize common law marriage.
Yeah, so
and Texas also there has to be certain declarations.
Even then though, when it comes to her out-of-pocket expenses moving, that wouldn't even be a claim to like recoup her actual expenses. She could attempt to make a claim for under the state's law if there is common law marriage for alimony. But they were together for only 3.5 years. The alimony would, if it was even granted, would be for a very short period of time. Most states, I think you have to be married for a certain length.
7 years.
Well, it depends on the state, but you have to be married for a certain period of time before you can get alimony, and the length of the marriage would determine how long the alimony payment is being made. In any case, she can't recuperate the money for the cost of the move, this sort of thing. But it's really interesting that all these women saying this would like fucking laugh in a dude's face if, as a guy, you take a girl out on a date and she's not interested and you're like, oh, can you just Venmo me the $20 that I spent on you for the burgers or whatever? So like, I think that's really interesting, that component. And then I think the other component is what is it? Oh, I don't think, it's interesting, like, y'all women, you'll if you're not into a guy, like it's done.
Yeah.
And like you'd probably clown on a dude if he was kind of upset. Oh, like I took you on a date. Oh, we've been dating for a month. Oh, we've been dating for 3 months. Oh, we've been dating for a year. It's like if he's all butthurt about the breakup, like he can obviously be upset, but if he's gonna like go and make some fucking video or get all bent out of shape over the breakup, most women are not gonna be pleased with that sort of situation. But it's weird to me, like, why do you, and look, I know it's not all women, but why do y'all feel so entitled to a relationship? And I'll paint it like this. In the same way that women are not vending machines that you put niceness tokens into or date tokens into, and it pops out sex. Women are not sex vending machines. Men are not relationship vending machines. So regardless of the investment that you've put into us, we don't owe you any sort of continuity. I don't care if we've been dating 4 years. If I've made a determination that I don't want to date you, you're gone. And I don't owe you anything. In the same way that if you wanted to dump me for any reason or no reason at all, you would do it and you don't owe me anything. So I don't think just because you've been in a relationship for three years and that she made this move, and she totally exaggerated. Like, okay, she took off months of work to move. it doesn't take.
But
That's
Brian, what about her improv troupe?
her improv troupe, and she only gave up, Andrew, half of her music career. She said she gave up half of it. Whatever the fuck that means. I don't know.
What about her improv troupe, though, Brian? You seem to be forgetting the strong bonds that happen inside of improv troupes. Very strong, life-altering, life-changing bonds that last forever and ever from your improv troupe.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. It's to me because I actually
I know
posted-
I could never leave my improv troupe, Brian.
It's
How about
hard.
you?
I actually used to do improv when I was like 19.
I thought theater was a red flag.
I am a red flag. So anyways, no, it's
Well, used to.
used to. Yeah, I gave it up. No longer have the red flag.
Could
But-
you imagine if that video was to the flip side and it was her like with a little tune like, and then I packed up and then I left him because whatever, I didn't like what color socks he was wearing on Tuesday. The internet and the comments would be like, hell yeah, you go girl, boss babe. Like the comments would be so different if the video was her leaving him instead of him breaking up with her when she got there.
Yeah.
And also if he would have made that video, the whole internet, this is so wrong, and the view to make this video of her, like, how dare you put her on the internet even though you blurred her face? Like, if the shoe was on the other foot, it would be so different.
Yeah, it would be like, oh, he's kind of like, whoa, he's really intense. Like, yeah, look, tough buddy. She wanted to break up with you. Like, that. It's a really good point, and it's the point I'm trying to make. Like, imagine a guy's like, man, I took her out on 3 dates, and she didn't give me pussy. It'd be like, so? Like, a girl doesn't owe you sex because you took her on 3 dates. A guy, just because you put some degree of investment into the guy, doesn't mean he owes you continuity in the relationship. I think the big thing, though, is like, look, the criticism here is like, why did he do this after the move? Maybe he could have dumped her before. But we don't know. Like, maybe he was all in on the move and wanted to keep seeing her. I think people reserve the right to end a relationship at any time. And so maybe he made a determination after the move. Maybe he saw like, living with her in one location where she's comfortable, she's cool. But like, she's a fucking head case when we're actually stressed out and have to do a move. I don't want to deal with a girl like that. Who knows, post-move? And then he ends it. But we don't know if that's actually the case. But what is interesting is people could say, look, he should have broken up with her before, but if like he only came to the determination, let's say he only came to the determination that he was over the relationship after the move, how can you fault him for ending? Like, what is he supposed to do? I guess I'll keep fucking her for 3 months and then I'll dump her.
Yeah.
What's he supposed to do?
Also, like, you don't know what, like,
Anybody?
there's missing context. Like, clearly, I mean, I do think it's weird that he wrote her a note after 3 years. Like, that's pretty weird. Like, maybe this guy exuberated some red flags before that happened.
I don't think you've been dating for 3 years and you live together.
You pass them a note
I
like
don't
it's
think you do
first
that.
grade. Like,
I
do
think
you
that's-
like me? Check yes or no.
But maybe that demonstrates that he just doesn't know how to communicate, so he just writes it
It could be.
on a letter.
But that being said, if he didn't know how to communicate, like I knew that my ex didn't know how to communicate prior to me moving to Australia, and I just accepted that I either accept that he can't communicate or I'm out, and I accepted that he can't communicate. She must have known, but 3 years in, prior to moving, that this guy is a little goofy in his communication skills. So
you could tell that she was all for him. She literally started building furniture for him. Like, she was all in, and maybe she was like oblivious to the little signs that he was like giving that he's not in it because she really wanted it, and then she got the note.
Who's to say he wasn't in?
he wasn't. Yeah, he was. So I mean, he could have met
All these
somebody.
are all assumptions.
He could have met
Yeah.
somebody that he deemed a better option. She could have said the wrong thing on the wrong day, and it was just again like that straw that broke the camel's back. Anything could have happened, but because it's from her point of view and her perspective, there's missing context in that video. That video and little tune was made just to like shame him for breaking up with her.
Yeah. Also, if that guy, if anybody knows who he is, I want him on the show. I'll fly you out. little vacation from Texas to Santa Barbara. I will fly you out because the internet dragged this guy. I want his side of the story.
Right.
I will fly you out. I'll cover your expenses. We'll have him on the show.
Yeah, because she painted like such a nasty narrative, especially like making it with the tune. She's like, I obviously I don't know if she knew like how the algorithm works, but like like that's how you get people to like you, like just to be funny and witty and painting that narrative is like fucked up.
I think
Where
crying.
was the funny and witty part, though?
Well, her emojis, the emojis in the song, like that was her way. That was her comedy or her way of being funny and dealing
That
with the
song
trauma.
sucked, didn't it? Like,
It was-
it sucked. It was terrible.
It was some like artsy hipster, thrown together kind of thing.
I also think that women that cry on the internet, I think that women's tears are only truly like true, honest to God tears when they're by themselves. If you can cry into a camera, I don't find it to be like very legit.
Well, yeah, it's like, oh my God.
It's like, it's like, and then they put the phone down and they're like, all right, where are we going for dinner? It's so like, women's tears are only real when they're by themselves, like into their pillow, having like a real actual meltdown. You don't call anyone, you don't call your best friend, you don't call your mom, you have your little emotional meltdown and cry in your bed alone. If you're posting it on the internet, they're fake tears, or it's just, I don't know.
Can you, Damien, can you Google, wait, I'm going to send it to you. There's a beautiful Socrates quote. Go ahead, pull that up. There's a Socrates quote. I wonder if there's an image search for it. Go to the image search. Show me the image search for this. Oh my God, wait, that's funny. Tab over, just go ahead, tab over. That's funny. There's actually a fucking clip from, look at the TikTok clip, the fourth one over. That's from that's Orion Taraban. That's funny. That's from my podcast. Click on the first one. Wait, what? Oh, next one over, my bad. Trust not a woman when she weeps, for it is her nature to weep when she wants her will. Whoa, that's really a little bit of toxic masculinity from Socrates going around the table. Do you agree with this? You disagree?
Honestly, I need to read the
Pull
quote
it up.
again.
I'll get the TTSs in just a sec, guys. I apologize for the delay.
Trust not a woman when she weeps, for it is her nature to weep.
When she wants her will.
Yeah, I mean, I do see a lot of like philosophy, ideas, and I do believe in a lot of them. So like when I see this, I see it as like a possibility to be true. Especially just like knowing, like me being a woman, I could definitely find myself like doing something for like attention.
And then just go around
Well, Brian didn't even give you the good one. You see, one of the students of Socrates, Plato, and then from Plato to Aristotle. Aristotle said, "Wherefore women are more compassionate and more ready to weep, more jealous and quarrelsome, more fond of railing and more contentious. The female is also more subject to depression of spirits and despair than the male. She's also shameless and false, more readily deceived, and more mindful of injury, more watchful, more idle, and on the whole less excitable than the male. On the contrary, the male is more ready to help, and as it has been said, more brave than the female, and even in the Malatia, if the sepia is struck with the trident, the male comes to help the female, but the female makes her escape if the male is struck." So, just saying, the philosophers of old did not seem to have, well, I mean, they had a high opinion of women, I guess, but they seem to understand the nature pretty well, didn't they?
I just think that overall, like, obviously these philosophers, like, they're all male, but the one that you referenced, I like that he mentioned that women are more compassionate, because generally women are more compassionate than men, so we tend to feel a lot more. Yeah,
You understand? He's not saying that. He's saying that you're a slave to passion. Like
he's saying that we're a slave to
in and of
passion?
Like we
itself-
have like no emotional agility. Like we can't control our
compassion-
emotions.
Like compassion in and
Oh.
of itself, he's making a reference here. Wherefore women are more compassionate and more ready to weep, more jealous, more quarrelsome, right? He's saying actually that they're a slave to their passion. In this case, that their compassion is often misplaced because it's a part of their nature, right?
I think
That's
that's
what he's saying.
You do see that comment a lot towards girls, like, "Oh, you're being too emotional right now," or like, "Oh, you can't control your emotions," and that's not usually towards guys. I do see that a lot more. I literally said it to my sister last night because she was crying, but it's like she cried because she didn't know how to express herself. So I don't know. Some women, they feel helpless that they actually can't do anything, and so their only other alternative is to cry. And I guess it kind of does play into Socrates, where he's like, "Oh, women cry to like get their way," and I can see that as well. I think that it's like they don't see any other action that they could take in that moment than to just cry, and it's just like a way for them to relieve like stress or built up tension within. And also women, I think that we feel like it's a lot easier to cry. Have not seen that many guys cry in my life, and it's like an Asian saying, like guys only cry 3 times in their life. It's like when they're born, when their dad dies, and when, I don't know, their grandma, mom, I forgot. You know the saying, right? Yeah. It's
Can I
like that.
ask, like, would you guys feel as if
That is most definitely not the saying.
Isn't that the
I'll let
saying?
you know, that is most definitely not the saying.
Yeah, it's a saying. No, she knows it. It's in Korean.
Yeah, Korean
yeah,
thing,
it's a
right.
Korean
Yeah,
thing.
but that's not the 3 times they cry, though.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
But we
I
just
think I did it
have
wrong. I think I did it wrong. It was like when they're born, when someone dies, and then I forgot the last one. When they went to the military. I think it was that one.
I think guys mostly view crying as a sort of manipulative thing, or I guess most guys, because I can say all guys, as a manipulative thing of girls to do to just get their way. But I think most girls are emotional, don't really know how to control their emotions, or they're just super emotional and just end up crying because they're hurt, not necessarily for wanting to like get their way or wanting to like manipulate their way in their situation. Because it's only
I have to kind of give you a firm disagreement here. So I think women don't have much in the way of recourse except 2 ways: vicious slander or through manipulation. And here's why I think this. So men always have an option women don't, which is force. Women don't even really have a force option against other women, right? It's not really something they do. Now, it has become more prominent now that women fight or are willing to go fisticuffs with each other, but it's still not nearly as common as it is with men. And on top of that, they can't do that with men. So what they do instead is their kind of ways of fighting back are either through emotional machinations or through the idea of slander, right? Those are kind of the 2 pathways that they have, because what else do they have? So if Bob is giving me a bunch of trouble, I can punch Bob in the mouth, and that's totally socially acceptable. I can't punch Linda in the mouth. That's totally not socially acceptable. On the other hand, if Linda punches me in the mouth, that's laughable, right? It's just like, okay, well, what did you accomplish here? Perhaps you hurt your hand, right? So the thing is like, they don't really have much but 2 options. And so I think that's, I do think it's a form of manipulation. Now, you could argue that manipulation is necessary because that's what's at their disposal, but I do think it's manipulation for sure.
I think it's the only defense mechanism that women really have, besides what you just said, like going on a smear campaign. Just like a skunk gets scared and sprays, or a porcupine gets scared and puts their spikes up, women's only real defense mechanism is crying. Like, that's all they can do.
I wouldn't agree with that, because I would say we could, as women, kind of put in the work and control our emotions and maybe come from a place with logic and conversation, and not just cry. And I get it.
But a man who's decided to break up with you, that guy like that video, that's how this conversation all started. That video of that girl crying. Besides her smear campaign and her tears, there's nothing that she can do to that guy.
She could leave, and then
he left her. That's why she made the video, and she was upset. He gave her
To Tier One's point, I don't think she's wrong. I think that women are capable of logical discourse and reason and everything else. I don't think they're incapable of this at all. I just think that ultimately, what backs it with men, if men have like a logical dispute or a reasoned dispute or something like this, we ultimately have something that we can defer to: force doctrine.
Yes.
Okay, we both think we're right. So one of us can always just beat the shit out of the other, right? So we can decide it that way. We have a threshold breaker.
Completely.
That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist for women.
I also think a lot of
It
times.
just like simply isn't there. So Chair One, like, what do you do to get revenge, right? I know what men do to get revenge. Oftentimes, like, if I ever see that guy again, I'm going to punch him right in the mouth. And then they do it, right? They actually do it. Women don't really have that available to them. So what they do is they run slander campaigns or emotional manipulation. Like, what other choices available to them?
They could not to get revenge at all.
Take
and to not
accountability.
utilize
Well,
that
I agree
energy.
with that. I'm just saying that if they were to want to, for whatever reason, that would be the option available to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or there's the option of walking away, evolving, becoming the absolute best version of yourself. I mean, they might never care, but there is like, if there was all these issues in the relationship and you step away from a relationship or from whatever the dispute is, and you fix it and you work on yourself and you become a better person, at some point, I do believe in the theory that like they always come back. I mean, and it might not always be a good thing, and they might not always come back in the capacity that you want them back in, but women do possess the ability to.
Well, let's try it this way. Okay, just quick show of hands. Do you think that women plot and scheme more than men do? By a show of hands.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, we just
Women are scheming.
we rather do that. A lot of women rather do that.
Definitely, women plot and scheme more than men do. So, let me ask you this. Think about this from a man's perspective. Women often don't think of it from our perspective, but universally from theirs. And why wouldn't they, right? They're not men, they're women. So they're going to think of things from their perspective. It's hard to actually put yourself in the other seat. But when women say, like, men are emotionally closed off, they're emotionally closed off, they don't want to talk, they don't want to talk about their feelings, they don't want to talk about things like this. Did you guys ever think that because if they do, it actually gives you ammunition? So if they tell you their deepest, darkest fears, or they tell you, or they become vulnerable with you about anything which is emotional, since they know that you scheme and plot as a way to either defend yourself or hurt other people, whereas they would just like punch them in the mouth, right? By them actually being vulnerable to you, that lays open the trap for your scheming and plotting. So in many ways, wouldn't that be a great defense mechanism? Like, wouldn't you actually give men advice? Don't tell women very much, because they scheme and plot and will do bad things to you with the information if they get upset, right? Like, that makes sense from a man's perspective.
Well, yeah, because like society makes it to where if a man cries, immediately he's weak. Immediately he, is like less of a man because he can't control his emotions. And then naturally, like, because I have done this like years ago to my first relationship where he was vulnerable with me, and I do remember mentioning to him, like, when I was crying, I was like, well, when you cried, I was there for you, So that's like. That I was kind of like using his vulnerability as a way for him to like be there for me, and
Right.
like.
So it was a bit of plotting and scheming
Yeah.
and manipulation, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So this is the case, right? Is like, so in many ways, probably the best advice to give men is to not open up to women. Right?
Just open up to the
Because
right
if they
one.
do,
The right
like,
one.
if you do, and so, but wait, it gets worse. It gets worse. What if it's the case that the reason women are always complaining that men don't open up and aren't vulnerable to them is because what they really mean is, this fucking guy isn't giving me ammunition to hurt him with.
In some cases, I would agree that probably, maybe most cases, I have no idea actually, but I feel like
When you think about it, from the man's mind, he's like, wait a second, now that we know they scheme and plot more, and they're going to use what I say as emotional ammunition, and they get upset if I don't emotionally become vulnerable for them. If you put that together in the man's logical brain, doesn't he think to himself, wait a second, this chick just wants me to be emotionally vulnerable and give her my darkest secrets so that she can hurt me with them if she wants to? Because what other recourse does she have?
Yeah, I would say that means you just got to get to know the person that you're investing yourself with, to like understand their mindset and where they would come from or how they would treat you, and trust that they wouldn't do that to you.
Michael Jones donated $200.